call Special Agent Brett Dickerson of the GBI.
All right, sir, please raise your right hand and take the oath.
Do you swear and affirm the testimony that you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please have a seat.
May I start?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Good morning, Agent Dickerson.
Good morning.
Can you please state and spell your name for the court reporter?
My name is Brett Dickerson. It's BrettDickerson.
What do you do for a living, sir?
I'm a special agent for the Georgia Bureau of Investigation.
And have you worked for any law enforcement agencies other than the Georgia Bureau of Investigation?
Yes, ma'am. I started my career with the Sheriff's Office in Scribb County.
And just so that we kind of try to abbreviate this some, do they go by the GBI?
Yeah, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, yes, ma'am, GBI.
Yeah. So I'm not going to say Georgia Bureau of Investigation 100 times, so can we call it the GBI?
Sure thing.
Okay. And you said, where did you work before that?
The Scribb County Sheriff's Office in Sylvania, Georgia.
Okay. How long did you work for them?
About 21 years.
And before that?
That was my first law enforcement job.
Okay. And what did you do at Screven?
I wore a lot of hats. I started off working in the jail, also dispatched, and then later on I went to the police academy and obtained certification as a peace officer in the state of Georgia. I worked in the road patrol division until 2007. At that point, I also graduated from Georgia Southern University and moved over to the criminal investigations division where I was an investigator. I served as an investigator from 2007 until 2018 when I was promoted to chief deputy of the agency and served there until I left.
Okay. So that was all in Screven?
Correct.
Okay. And when you left Screven County after 21 years, where did you go?
The GBI.
Okay. Tell the jury what and how you become a GBI special agent.
Well, there's an application process, obviously. It's fairly extensive. It took me about a year or so to get on between the backgrounds and everything.
In that capacity, did you have any training that was in addition to your training from Screven?
Correct. So once I was hired, we attended the basic agent course, which is usually around 14 weeks. And during that time, you're in residence at the Georgia Public Safety Training Center, and you're given the training needed to become a special agent.
Okay. And as a special agent, do you have any particular roles, or is it just one role as a special agent?
So my role at my GBI office there in Statesboro, Region 5, is that of a crime scene specialist.
And where is Region 5? What does that cover?
It's in Statesboro. We cover a 10-county area. The GBI is divided into regional offices. There's 15 throughout the state. They cover usually about 10 counties per office. Our office covers 10 counties, and it ranges from Jenkins and Scriven County up north down the eastern part of the state to Chatham and Liberty.
Does that include McIntosh and Liberty counties?
It includes Liberty, but not McIntosh.
Okay. So Region 5 would have covered the location of the first recovery?
Correct.
Okay. And as a GBI agent, you indicated that you're as a crime scene investigator, is that correct?
The crime scene specialist, yes, ma'am.
My apologies, crime scene specialist. And in that role, is there any specialized training for that in addition to your basic course?
Yes, ma'am. One of the reasons why the GBI assigns certain agents to serve as crime scene specialists is because there's a lot of technical knowledge that has to be applied to our role, and because of that, the training and some of the experience needed to function well in that role takes some time to accumulate. So we conduct monthly trainings every month, and there's also an onboarding process that involves week-long trainings at a time that involve basic training in crime scene investigation, but also documentation issues like crime scene photography and the like.
Did you receive specialized training in each of those individual sciences and areas that you just described?
I did.
So is there special training for actually how to take crime scene pictures?
Sure.
Okay. And did you get that training?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Okay. Can you tell the jury what's the difference between the GBI then and, for example, Screven?
So, of course, the Sheriff's Office in Georgia is a constitutional officer responsible for enforcing the laws in the unincorporated areas of the county and for maintaining the county jail. There are also is another layer of law enforcement, municipalities who employ police officers and have police departments to cover the incorporated areas. And the GBI serves to assist local agencies with anything that they might need in the way of an investigation. We do not have original jurisdiction, meaning we need to be requested to come in and help with an investigation.
So you don't come unless asked?
For most things, no. We do have, by statute, a few things that we can initiate investigation on, like drugs, a few things like that. But for the most part, we have to be asked to come in and help with an investigation by a sheriff or chief of police or sometimes a district attorney.
Okay. And in that role as the GBI agencies, would that be fair to say then that there are partnerships with local agencies?
Oh, absolutely.
Can you explain to the jury how that works?
So, for myself, I worked in Scriven County for a very long time, and I know the county well. But I'm not going to know Liberty County nearly as well as a Liberty County deputy will. So when we come into a county, we're going to rely on our local partners to, have the lay of the land and know the people, know the geographic area, and help us. We're going to work as a partnership. We're not going to take over an investigation unless an agency asks us to, and they need some third-party objectivity or something. An example would be an officer-involved shooting. If we were to work a case where an agency needed that objectivity, then we would come in and provide that for them, and that partnership would be very limited. In this case, we work together very well.
Okay. So would it be fair to say that you worked with other agencies in connection with this case?
Yes.
Do you know how many agencies or who they were?
Not right away, but we work with other local partners, state and federal agencies.
Okay. And did that include the Liberty County Sheriff's Office?
Yes, ma'am, it did.
Okay. When did you become first a crime scene investigator?
I was employed in that role from the very beginning of my employment with the GBI.
And when was that?
In June of 2021.
Okay. So in June of 2021, but that was after you had already had 21 years in law enforcement, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. As a crime scene specialist at the GBI, you had that role. But before, when you were with Scriven, did you have occasion to handle crime scenes as well?
Yes, ma'am. That was also one of my primary responsibilities at the Sheriff's Office, was responding to crime scenes as well as investigating them. So as a patrol deputy, I responded to crime scenes that we refer to as being in progress, and crimes that were still occurring when we received a call about them. And I also responded to many, many calls of crime scenes that were discovered after the fact, and then was responsible for that investigation.
Okay. Are you familiar with chain of custody?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell the jury what chain of custody means?
So chain of custody is just being able to account for an item from the time we pick it up at a crime scene to the time that it's presented in court later on, if needed.
And why is chain of custody important in your role?
We want to make sure that the same thing that we picked up at a crime scene is the same thing that we show the jury in the courtroom.
And are there specific procedures in place to do that?
Yes, ma'am.
And are those the procedures that you're required to know how to follow?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you follow those procedures in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And specifically, were you in that capacity as a crime scene specialist on December 2nd of 2022?
I was.
Okay. Can you tell us, have you received any specialized training in addition to that initial course with respect to crime scene processing itself?
Yes, ma'am. The crime scene processing is very broad and can encompass many things. So again, we train in many different areas. There are certain things that are basic procedures that are documentation, like report writing, taking photographs, although that can become kind of advanced too. And that progresses on through utilizing the different pieces of equipment that we have that require some technical training to use 3D laser scanners or small unmanned aerial systems like drones that we use to take photographs, and also the chemical processes that we employ to process scenes.
Okay. And would that include something called BlueStar?
Yes, ma'am. That's one of the chemicals that we use to search for blood.
Okay. Did you receive specialized training in how to actually process evidence collection and a crime scene specifically?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you receive specialized training with generalized blood spatter?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And the use of BlueStar?
Yes, ma'am.
So you have specialized training in each of those areas for that accountability in connection to this case?
Yes, ma'am.
And of course that training was before you started this case, correct?
Some of it was.
Okay.
We touched on some of it, and since then I've had some more advanced training.
Okay. Would it be fair to say that you continue to train all the time?
Yes, ma'am. We train, again, at least one day per month, and then usually several times a year we'll have weekly trainings or week-long trainings.
My apologies.
Okay.
Is that in addition to all of the crime scenes that you actually respond to?
Yes, ma'am.
Approximately how many crime scenes do you think you've processed roughly in a year?
In a year?
Sure.
I'm not really a statistician, but any given year, 25 to 30 would be a roundabout number. Some cases involve more than one scene. Some cases that we receive requests for don't have a crime scene. So those numbers are a little difficult to keep track of without specifically counting them.
And within a crime scene, is it fair to say that sometimes there are many, many items that might be recovered?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
So
Sure.
in an individual crime scene, there may be hundreds even of items that you're recovering?
There can be.
Okay. Now, do you ever assist at crime scenes as opposed to being lead?
Yes, ma'am. Oftentimes you'll hear questions asked about crime scene that ask for a specific answer, and it's kind of a running joke with our unit. The answer is usually it depends. So there's so many different circumstances that we run into that almost every situation is unique. We are trained to recognize certain patterns and apply certain techniques if needed, but no two crime scenes are the same. So with that in mind, one of the things that we do first when we get to a crime scene is conduct an evaluation of that crime scene and determine what resources we need to adequately address it. In order to conduct that examination, if it's a large scene or if it's a scene that's located in an area where we may not have as much time to access the scene as we want to, then we're going to need to work very quickly, and we may need to deploy more personnel to get that done.
If you needed assistance, would you be able to ask for help?
Yes, ma'am.
And that would be potentially where you might be the one that's lead versus someone else being assist?
Correct.
Okay. And being the lead crime scene specialist, what responsibilities does that place on you?
So we're responsible as the lead crime scene to kind of direct the course of the crime scene investigation itself. The GBI takes a team approach when we accept a request for investigation. We'll have a case agent who acts much like a quarterback for a team. He's going to be the person, or she's going to be the person who's going to go through and kind of direct the other agents and where to spend their efforts, and then adjust accordingly as new information becomes available. In a crime scene role, we do the same thing. As a lead agent, you're going to be the one responsible for working that crime scene, making sure that the items of evidence that are found there are documented properly, and that they're collected and preserved in a manner that's going to allow them to be examined later on, either by us back at our office in our crime scene work area or at the crime lab.
And specifically, have you ever testified before on crime scene evidence collection?
Yes.
Have you testified in respect to crime scene investigations?
Yes, ma'am.
And can you give us an idea of how many times?
Again, I'm not a statistician, and I've testified many times to crimes of a less serious nature at the sheriff's office. More than 50, less than 100.
Okay.
I hate to be
That's
that
fair.
general.
No,
but
that's fair. So approximately between 50 and 100.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And have you ever been qualified as an expert in crime scene evidence collection and investigation?
I've not been qualified as an expert, no, ma'am.
Have you ever been asked to?
No, ma'am.
Have you ever been denied?
No, ma'am.
So would it be fair to say today is the first time you're being asked to do so?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, at this time, the state offers crime scene specialist Brett Dickerson as an expert in the fields of crime scene investigation, crime scene evidence collection, and general blood spatter.
All right. Does defense counsel wish to take the witness on board?
Just briefly on the issue of blood spatter.
Yes, sir.
Good morning, I'm Doug Weinstein, I represent Mr. Kassotis.
Good morning, sir.
Can you tell me about your training in blood spatter?
Yes, sir. So we have, during the basic or introduction courses, both at the Basic Agent Academy as well as the more in-depth training that we receive initially as crime scene specialists, we discuss the role of bloodstain pattern analysis in investigations and what it can do to advance those investigations. And then later on, we've had bloodstain pattern analysis courses that allow us to determine some things about how bloodstains are formed, the mechanics of and how to interpret them.
You said how blood stains are formed. Are you specifically speaking to spatter, or
Well,
when
spatter
you say
is a type
stains?
of blood stain.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So when you say blood stains, it incorporates spatter plus other types of stains?
Correct. Blood stain would be a more general term. Spatter is a specific type of stain.
Okay. I have no other questions, Your Honor. And I have no objection to this witness being admitted as an expert
All right, please restate the areas that you wish to have him qualified.
Your Honor, those were listed as crime scene investigation, crime scene evidence collection, and general blood spatter.
And by stipulation, the court qualifies the witness as an expert. He can give his opinions.
Were you on duty on December 2nd of 2022?
Yes, ma'am, I was on call.
Can you tell us what on call means?
I can. So during regular work hours, which are usually 8:30 to 5, Monday through Friday, if we receive a call for a scene, then we respond directly from the office. However, crime doesn't always happen at convenient times, so we have an on-call schedule. Myself and another crime scene specialist share that burden, so usually about 50% of the time I'm required to be on call. An on-call status with GBI means I need to be able to return to a ready state of being able to respond directly to a scene of a crime within about 30 minutes or so. Notification.
Were you on call on December 2nd of 2022?
Yes, ma'am, I was.
Can you tell us, without giving us any details, how far away from Riceboro, Liberty County, were you at on December 2nd, 2022?
Yes, ma'am. Well, I still live in Sylvania. I left the sheriff's office. I didn't move. So with Scriven County being in our region, it's at the very north end, and Liberty County is at the other end. So it's almost 2 hours to get down, depending on traffic.
Did you get in your car and have to come down to Liberty County?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And do you recall approximately when you got to Liberty County?
I can. It would have been about 9:15 that evening.
Do you know who, at the time, it was that contacted you with regards to that location?
The case agent in this case is Special Agent Tracy Sands with
Okay.
our office.
Okay. And is he the one that contacted you?
I believe one of the supervisors actually called me to notify me to respond, but he was a point of contact for the case.
Okay. And can you tell the jury what the lead agent on a case, what that actually means?
Sure. So again, with the kind of cases that we work, sometimes with the complexity and the scope thereof, is more than one agent will necessarily be able to handle effectively by themselves. So we'll have a case agent who kind of serves like a quarterback for a team. He or she will direct the course of that investigation and assign resources as needed and collaborate with the supervisors to make sure the investigation is being handled properly. And ultimately, they're also going to be responsible for tying everything together and presenting a court case.
So would he be somebody that would direct you as to things potentially that he wanted with respect to a case?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And where did you go to assist in that investigation specifically?
I met him at the intersection of Jones Road and an unnamed hunting club road that was on the Portal Hunting Club near Riceboro in Liberty County.
Your Honor, may we approach?
Yes.
Agent Dickerson, did you bring anything with you here today to testify? Meaning your materials.
Yes, ma'am.
What did you bring?
The case reports that generated during the course of the investigation.
Okay. I'm just going to ask you, if you've had difficulty recollecting something, just let us know.
Sure.
And if you could just push those off to the side for the time being.
Sure thing.
If you don't recall something, please just let us know and you'll be able to refresh your recollection. Just let me know you need to.
Sure thing.
Would it be fair to say that this incident happened some time ago?
It did.
Okay. Do you take reports for a reason?
Yes, ma'am.
What's that reason?
So we document things in order to make sure that the facts of the case are preserved and then presented later on in court in an accurate fashion.
Okay. So when you are doing a crime scene, are you doing it in time, simultaneous to what you're doing at the scene, those documents?
Oh, no, ma'am. We produce notes, and we use those notes to generate our reports later on.
Okay. So you're taking notes when it's happening and then you put those into a report later?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Is that to assist and help with your recollection?
Yes, ma'am. It's taught to us that the dullest pencil is better than the sharpest memory. So.
Fair enough. Now, you indicated that you went down to Riceboro and you met Agent Sands. Is that right? And you said, what time was that approximately?
About 9:15.
Okay. And when you got there, can you describe the scene for the jury of what you saw when you got there?
Sure. There really wasn't much to see. This was an intersection of county maintained road and Jones Road, and then an unnamed hunting club road. The hunting club road was equipped with a metal swing gate that was open at the time, and the hunting club road was very well maintained. It was had some deep ditches on either side of it, and it was fairly dry, even though it had a lot of rain in the area. Just prior to that, the area was very wooded.
Okay. So when you got there, did you see any people other than the terrain itself?
I did. There were some deputies, don't know their names, but they were securing the scene, the outside of the scene, controlling the traffic on Jones Road, and they had put up some crime scene barrier tape that denoted the outside of the crime scene there at the intersection, and were keeping people off of the hunting club road itself.
Okay. And were there any civilian on scene, if you recall, by the time you got there?
While I was there, not until later.
Okay. So when you first arrive on the scene and you see all this, you have occasion to speak with Agent Sands.
I did.
Okay. And what do you normally do when you arrive at a homicide scene generally?
So in order to understand the scope of the scene and what's going to be needed to properly examine the crime, what happened, and what we normally do is called an initial briefing. We'll meet with a case agent or perhaps a requesting agency, a representative thereof, and talk with them about what the case needs, what's going on, and what the circumstances are, so we can make some determinations early on about what we need.
Okay. Did you have that kind of a briefing?
We did.
And can you tell the jury what, if any, physical things you did in terms of measurements and photographs to initially assess the scene?
So one of the very first things we do at any crime scene is to go ahead and take photographs. Those photographs serve as documentation of the scene as we found it, and that's before we start manipulating anything in the scene. We'll go ahead and take those pictures. So again, we find things as we determine. Now, we can't always say that we're going to go into a scene and things haven't been touched or moved, because we don't generally respond to scenes first, but we will document them as we find them as we respond.
Okay. And so, of the scene?
Correct.
Okay. Do you subsequently take far more detailed photographs?
Yes, ma'am. We generally start with overall photographs, which would depict the scene, the overall scene where the incident took place, and then we'll move in and photograph other things, be it a victim or individual items of evidence.
Did you do both of those in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you give us a rough idea of approximately how many pictures you took?
I believe on the initial scene it was 111, right around there.
Okay. And did you subsequently take additional photographs?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Okay. In total, do you have any idea how many photographs you took in connection with this case?
It was
Do you need to?
not exactly, but it was more than 700.
Okay. So more than 700 total pictures?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And clearly, have I asked you to bring all 700 pictures to show you?
No, ma'am.
Okay. But are those available?
Yes, ma'am.
And they were made available?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, specifically, do you know how long after the body was first located that you responded, if you know?
I don't know, Ralph, and I understand that the body was discovered late that evening, and then we received a call after the Liberty County Sheriff's Office investigators had had a chance to respond and do their initial evaluation and decide to request us for assistance.
Do you know who the agent in charge of the Liberty County Sheriff's Office side of the investigation was?
The investigator, to my knowledge, it was coordinating from their side. They had a lieutenant there, Tracy Jennings, but investigator Jack Frost was the one that was assigned to the case, from my understanding.
So he was their lead case agent at Liberty County?
That's my understanding. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And can you explain to the jury what evidence placards are?
Yes, ma'am. They're just the markers that you might see, and they're almost generic at this point to denote a crime scene. But if you ever see the little yellow tents that have black numbers on them that we place on the ground to denote where evidence items are located, We use those for a couple of reasons, but the primary reason is just to show spatial relationships and photographs between where items of evidence were located, and then also to provide those items with a number for reference later on.
How many crime scenes, we're talking first about the decedent's remains, how many crime scenes did you process with respect to her body?
Well, there were two in regards to the remains, and then additional scenes in regards to other aspects of the investigation, items that we believe have been used in the
Okay.
scene.
So let me be more clear. Do you recall how many portions of her remains total were recovered?
There were four altogether, yes, ma'am.
And how many of those did you process?
Two.
Okay. And in those two that you processed, which two portions of her remains did you process?
I processed her torso and her left leg.
Okay. And with respect to those portions, do you know when those were? Obviously, you told us December 2nd of 2022. Do you recall when the second date was that you processed the second portion of the body that you handled?
The left leg was located on December 5th,
Okay.
2022.
Do you know if there was another leg recovered in between?
Yes, ma'am, there was.
Okay. And with respect to each of those occasions, was someone present, even though you didn't process those other two scenes, was there also a law enforcement agent present on those two other dates?
To the best of my knowledge, yes, ma'am.
It just wasn't you.
It just wasn't me.
Okay. And do you know where those remains were transported after they had been processed and recovered?
Yes, ma'am. So in each county where you have a suspicious death like this one, the county coroner will respond and take those remains into custody and will be responsible for preserving them and transporting them to the lab for autopsy, medical examiner's office.
Okay. So anytime there's a suspicious death?
Yes, ma'am. The Georgia Death Investigation Act outlines some, but any suspicious death, unattended death, suicides, things of that nature, there will be the coroner will respond and be responsible for making determinations about some of those, and then we're involved when autopsies are needed.
Okay. And were they, in fact, those remains of what ultimately is determined to be Mrs. Meotis Kassotis are recovered? Do they all go with the coroner to the crime laboratory eventually?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. How do you know that those were her remains?
Well, I attended the autopsy of the remains, and they were eventually we utilized some DNA techniques to.
And perhaps this sounds foolish, but was it clear that they were the remains of a human being?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Ultimately, was her entire body recovered?
Yes, ma'am.
And what pieces would that comprise?
Her torso was located first, then her right leg, her left leg, and finally on the 7th of December, her head.
Can you tell the jury why you were not present for the other 2 days?
At the time, we had one of our other crime scene specialists leave to join a federal agency, so I was the only crime scene specialist assigned to our office at the time. Unlike TV, we don't get to work just one case at a time, so we had been working on this case, and things were unfolding fairly rapidly. I live a couple hours away, so it was easier and quicker in this case for Agent Sands and some of the other agents who live closer to respond in order to take custody of the other parts that were found.
But there was someone from law enforcement there to do so, correct?
Correct.
Now, you indicated that there was more than one crime scene, and I was referring to the remains. Was there another crime scene that you also processed?
Yes, ma'am.
Where was that?
311 East 65th Street in Savannah, Georgia.
Okay, and why were you at that location?
This was after Mindy had been identified as the victim in this case, and the investigation had determined at that point that around the time that we believed she was killed, she and her husband Nicholas were living at that residence.
Okay. So I'm just going to start first with her remains, and we'll finish later with the house, okay? In preparation for your testimony here today, did you create a PowerPoint?
I did.
And in that PowerPoint, can you tell the jury what did you depict inside of that PowerPoint?
Well, there was photographs, and I tried to lay them out in order that would make the most sense as far as understanding the context in which the crime scenes occurred, where these items were found, and which items were located.
Okay. And before your testimony here today, did you have an opportunity to look at that PowerPoint presentation?
I did.
And are each of the photographs that are depicted inside of that PowerPoint presentation, which, Your Honor, I'm going to ask to have marked as states 1.1 for identification? I would note that this has been shown in its entirety, Your Honor, to counsel prior to this witness's testimony. I've affixed that sticker on the tag that is associated with that USB. Did you place that onto that USB, sir?
I believe it conveyed it to Agent Sands, who did so.
Okay. But you viewed it and you made sure that everything that's in there is slides that you're familiar with?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And are those photographs all fair and accurate depictions of what you observed and or collected personally on December 2nd and December 5th of 2022?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. There's also additional photographs from the house, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you recall the date that those photographs were?
If I may refer to my notes, I believe it was May 4th and May 5th were the 2 days that we were at the East 65th Street address.
If you need to refresh your recollection, please go ahead.
I'm good.
Okay. So sometime around May 4th or 5th of 2023?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And are all of those pictures fair and accurate representations?
They are.
Your Honor, I would at this time seek to introduce states 1.1.
Any objection? No objection. It's submitted.
Your Honor, I'm now going to seek to publish them. There are some slides, Your Honor, that are afoul of this service, so I've indicated to counsel that I will try to give everybody a warning so we can turn off devices. Now, specifically, can we turn that on? And if you could just let me know when you can see it.
Yes.
Can you see that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So you see initial slide 1?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And what does that slide represent?
I see just the initial scene title.
Okay. Did you write that title?
I did.
Okay. And when you say initial scene, what are you referring to?
This is the original call that we received to respond to at the very beginning of the investigation.
Would that be December 2nd of 2022?
It was.
Okay. And by the time you got there, was it light out or dark out?
Oh, it was very dark.
Okay. So this photo that's coming up next, is it light or dark out?
It's dark outside.
Okay. Were you there beyond the day of December 2nd, 2022?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you come back to that location?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you take additional photographs?
We did.
Tell the jury how you captured the photographs that are not on ground level.
So one of the instruments we have at our disposal when we need to take crime scene photographs is particularly good for adding context to a scene are drones. We can take drones, fly them up to around 400 feet above ground level, and then take photographs of the overall area. And it's very helpful in showing where items were found and where an incident took place.
Does it also show the relation of items to each other?
It can.
Okay. And did you do drone photographs in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
Was there any other type of aerial photography used in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
What type was that?
Agent Sands was able to produce photographs from a helicopter.
So a
Aerial
helicopter
photographs.
flew over this area?
Yes, ma'am. The helicopter can fly much higher than a drone.
Okay. So they go way over 400 feet?
They do.
Okay. And were those captured as well?
They were.
Okay. Now I'm going to ask Your Honor if I can publish just throughout, if that's okay. Thank you. I'm now showing you slide 2. Do you recognize that slide?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
What's depicted in that slide?
That is Jones Road there from the bottom right of the photograph moving up to the top right. And then the unnamed Hunting Club Road there, the Portal Hunting Club Road intersects that road and moves. This view is actually pretty much straight on to the north. You'll see that the Hunting Club Road moves away from Jones Road to the west northwest.
And all of those woods, what are they of?
Our investigation showed that this area was part of a managed timber company's holdings and was leased to the Portal Hunting Club for hunting purposes.
So it would be fair to say that the property is not actually owned by Portal Hunting Club, but they just have a right to use it?
Correct.
And the actual managed agency that you're referring to, what's their business?
They produce timber products.
So they log this territory?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And would it be fair to say that some of what you see in this photograph goes potentially even beyond portal hunting?
Yes, ma'am. I
Okay.
believe so.
Are there adjacent lots to the portal area?
Yes, ma'am.
And what were those?
Those are also managed timber areas.
Okay, so all of this area is just timber.
This is the middle of the woods.
Okay. And those roads, the one that on the left of this photograph specifically, why is that relevant?
I beg your pardon, ma'am?
That road on the left side of this photograph, what road was that?
That's actually the hunting club lane there where the torso was recovered.
Okay, so would it be fair to say that that is not actually on the main road, but rather inside of the hunting area?
Correct.
Okay, and this photograph then would have been taken after December 2nd of 2022?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and I'm asking that because it's light out, is that correct?
It was taken on the 5th.
Thank you. Okay, I'm now showing you photograph 3. Can you tell the jury what that is?
Yes, ma'am. That's that's standing on Jones Road. The orange posts there are the swing gate that covers that area. You can see that it's open at the time, and that's the crime scene tape that had been placed across the road there to denote the area as a crime scene. But that is a view looking down the road there from Jones Road toward the hunting club.
Can you tell us why there are 2 sets of crime scene tape?
Well, generally speaking, it's a good practice to have an inner crime scene or a critical inner area that you want to protect the most, and then an outer crime scene to kind of keep folks back. And in practice, it's best to have a large area because if you let folks walk right up onto the crucial thing, you might have items that are disturbed or destroyed. So it's a good practice to go ahead and denote 2 different areas, one that's kind of okay to enter and then another one that you absolutely want to stay out of.
Okay. And with respect to this crime scene, did you ultimately determine how long the torso had been at the scene before it had been discovered?
We were given a good estimate.
Okay. Would it be fair to say that that was longer than days?
Correct.
Okay. So by that point, would it be fair to say that there had already been traffic on that roadway before the torso was even found?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So did you attempt to limit any additional exposure?
As much as possible to the torso itself. When that part of Mindy was found, we did limit that part of it. But at this point, you're dealing with an area that has received lots and lots of through traffic and also been exposed to the elements as well.
When you say exposed to the elements, what was it like that right around December 2nd of 2022?
It was cool out. It was, I may refer to my notes there too, the exact temperature.
That's okay. Can you give us a rough estimate?
It was high 50s
Okay.
at the time.
Was there any precipitation?
There was a lot of rain in the area. We spoke with the Liberty County deputies that informed us that the area had received heavy rainfall in the days leading up to the investigation.
And in that time period, you indicated that there was a lot of rain. Was there anything that you observed visually that gave you reason to believe that beyond the deputies?
There was standing water in the ditches.
Okay. And at that point, when the standing water was in the ditches, you ultimately, do you take that into account in your crime scene investigation? Does that impact you at all?
The water?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we need to plan for it, but I went in the water in this particular case in order to recover a torso.
What did you have to put on?
Some protective equipment. We generally use suits made from a material called Tydex, and it just protects us from biological hazards and things like that we might encounter in a crime scene.
So did you actually don the full suit to get into the water to try and get her remains out?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'm going to move to slide 4. Does that show the intersection of that roadway and where that gate was?
Yes, ma'am.
Who drew this?
I did.
Okay. Did you use a computer to assist you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And that orange mark at the bottom, can you tell us, or I shouldn't say at the bottom, in the middle of the photograph, can you tell us what that is?
That's just the metal swing gate that I mentioned before. It's just a representation of where it was.
Okay. And is that what we saw in the last photograph, that gate?
It was.
Okay. And specifically, you see these numbers, these placard numbers. Can you tell the jury what those were?
Yes, ma'am. So those placards were assigned to items of evidence that were located as we continued our crime scene search. These sketches are deliberately simplistic because we use them primarily to denote or demonstrate the location where items were found and the spatial relationships between those items.
Okay, so with respect to each of these placards, 1, 2, 3, all the way through 7, are those items that you personally recovered?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and when I use the word recovered, can you tell the jury what that means?
So, finding evidence at a crime scene, we find things that may be of interest. We use the information that we have at hand from our breathing and from things that we observe to determine whether or not the items that are in the location that we see are of any import to the case. There were things that we observed that were just trash on the side of the road, things like that weren't important. But as we searched, we did come across these items that we felt like were pertinent and were important to the investigation. So we made sure to mark them, photograph them, and document them where they were, and then collect them later on as evidence.
Do you know what items are important when you start your investigation?
It's difficult to determine. One of the answers that we get a lot of times we ask a crime scene related question is, well, it depends. And in this case, we knew there were going to be some things that were important. Sometimes you look at things that are just out of place. And in this case, some of these things, we ask a crime scene related question is, well, it depends. And in this case, we knew there were going to be some things that were important. Sometimes you look at things that are just out of place. And in this case, some of these things, when we get to the photographs, you see definitely looked out of place.
Okay. So do you try to capture everything that seems like it may be relevant?
Yes, ma'am. One of the reasons we take so many photographs is because it's impossible for us to know on the front of an investigation every single little thing that's going to be important later on. So we take a lot of photographs. We do a lot of documentation because we never know what might be important later on.
And those placards were, can you just tell the jury just generally what was at those placards that are depicted as 1 through 7?
Yes, ma'am. I prepared a legend, if I may refer to it.
Please.
So item number 1 was a black and color Husky store Milwaukee brand fixed blade sheath knife. Clorox wipe, I'm not sure of the brand in this case. Number 4 was a piece of torn or cut gray cloth. Number 5 was also a piece of torn or cut gray cloth. Number 6 was a black plastic trash bag that contained some clothing items that were stained with reddish brown stains. And it also has some cleaning wipes inside the bag. And then number 7 also denoted the location of some cleaning wipes that were found.
And ultimately, that legend was created by you as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'm now turning to slide number 5. Can you tell us what the difference is on this slide versus the other slides, if there's something depicted here?
Yes, ma'am. If you look in the bottom left-hand corner there, you see the black tote that was found that was marked with placard number 1. And you can see its relationship there to that orange swing gate post that you saw on the first photograph.
Can you tell the jury how far that is from the roadway?
Not far at all from the roadway. I mean, about 10 feet or so.
Okay. And can you tell the jury how far that is ultimately from where the torso with the arms was recovered?
The torso was located approximately 650 feet from the intersection down on Hunting Club Road and off into the ditch.
So as we're looking at this photograph, Would it be fair to say that's the left side of the swing gate, if you're facing the gate?
Yes, ma'am.
You were able to access her remains?
I was.
Okay. We have now slide number 6 that I'm showing. Is that another image of that tote?
Yes, ma'am.
Is there anything additional that's depicted in that photograph other than just the tote?
Yes, ma'am. If you look carefully at the tote and then to the right and upwards in the frame of the photograph, you'll see the orange handle of the knife blade and the black sheath that it was inside of, along with the cleaning wipe that was wrapped around the handle when we found it.
Are you referring to this item right here?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you indicated that that was the knife, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. That was a Milwaukee knife, fixed blade knife.
Okay. What is a fixed blade knife? What does that mean?
So a folding knife is what you might consider a pocket knife, where the blade actually folds into the handle and it's safe to carry in your pocket. A fixed blade knife generally requires a sheath to carry safely, but a fixed blade knife doesn't bend. The blade is fixed in place onto the handle.
And with respect to this fixed blade knife, was there anything on the blade itself?
There was a cleaning wipe wrapped around the handle and partially around the top of the blade where it met the handle.
Okay. And that black thing that you see, what is that?
That's a plastic sheath.
Okay. So that's not actually the blade itself, that's the sheath over the blade?
Correct.
Okay. I'm now showing you slide number 7. Do you recognize that slide?
Yes, ma'am.
What's depicted there?
That's after, as you noted in the first photographs, you saw that the container was in that location when it was found, face down. Essentially, we turned it on its side, and I was able to take photographs of the interior of it.
Why did you take photographs of the interior?
Because there was a reddish-brown liquid inside of it.
Can you tell the jury what a swab is?
Yes, ma'am. When we need to take samples at a crime scene of an unknown stain or something, we generally use medical sterile swab. It's just a cotton swab, like a Q-tip with a long handle, and then we can preserve those swabs later on and send them to the crime lab for testing.
Is that what you're referring to that you did in respect to that brownish stain in this tub?
In this case, yes, ma'am, though we use that swab for field testing purposes.
Okay. Now you use the phrase field testing. I'm going to show you slide 8. Can you explain to the jury what's depicted in slide 8?
Yes, ma'am. So that's a presumptive blood test that we use to determine in the field whether or not an unknown stain might be blood. In this case, that particular chemical is called phenolphthalein, and we use it because when it's combined with blood in the presence of hydrogen peroxide, it produces that pink color, and that's indicative of the presence of blood in the sample.
It's fair to say not every reddish brown stain is blood?
Sure. Not all of them are blood, and that's why we have those stains, the field test kits, so we can determine the course of our investigation, what we need to do next with an item of evidence.
So if something wasn't blood, would that potentially impact what you did next in your investigation?
It could.
Okay. And if you turned out that it was blood, would that also potentially impact your decisions?
Absolutely.
Okay. You said that this would simply say that it was actually blood. Is that right?
It'll give us a good idea. It's kind of like a pregnancy test. I mean, you can go to the drugstore and get a pregnancy test. It'll tell you if you're pregnant or not. But you're going to want to follow up with your doctor. The same thing with us. We're going to take this and we're going to test it, but we're also going to make sure that we get to the lab and get confirmation later on.
Okay. So this is just kind of while you're at the scene, a way to kind of have a sense of what's going on?
Yes.
Okay. Now, other than a presumptive test for blood, can you do other types of tests for blood in the scene?
We can.
What type is that?
So tests like phenolphthalein are used to identify the potential for a stain that we've already seen, and just to tell if it's blood or not, or give us an idea if it's blood or not. However, if we need to search for blood within a scene, if we're looking for blood that's not readily available or obvious at first glance, then we can use chemicals to search for that. And there's several different kinds, but the one that we use in this case is called BlueStar.
Okay. Did you also make any tests to determine if the blood stains that you recovered were human in nature?
Yes, ma'am.
And what kind of a test is that?
So BlueStar is actually a brand name.
Okay.
It contains the chemical luminol, so I don't want to get the two confused. There's one BlueStar that's used to search for blood, but then BlueStar OBTI is an actual field test to determine whether or not a particular blood stain may be human or not.
Okay. So I'm now showing you slide 9. Can you tell the jury what's depicted here?
Yes, ma'am. This is a BlueStar OBTI test, and we took a sample of the substance that was inside the container and exposed it to this field test, and the test returned a positive result for human blood.
So first you determine, is it blood? And then you determine, is it human blood?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And is that always the procedure in that order?
It's generally that'd be
Okay.
the way you want to go.
Okay. And with respect to what you observe, that's the test itself, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And when you did that test, that was on which container?
This was on the black container.
The one that we just observed in the previous slides?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'm now going to show you slide 10. Would that be fair to say that's a close-up of that knife you described earlier?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'm now going to zoom in on that. Does that give a better picture?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And is that describe what you see there for the jury.
So that's a Milwaukee knife that we observed that was over in the woods, kind of behind the black container that was located. There was a cleaning wipe wrapped around the handle and partially around the blade itself. And then we noticed that the blade had actually been placed backwards into the sheath. It was not placed as it should have been.
Okay.
So that's why the blade didn't seat fully within the sheath.
Okay. Is that why that portion is exposed?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And is that how the condition of the knife was at the time it was first observed by yourself?
Yes, ma'am.
Had not yet been moved.
No, ma'am.
I'm now showing you slide 11. What is depicted there?
This was a cleaning wipe that was found not far away from the knife. If the 2 points of the triangle were the container and the knife, this would be the third point of the triangle. They're fairly close together.
Okay. And that when you're saying the triangle, are you referring back to that legend?
Just the spatial relationships between the items, that's all. Just where they were at.
Approximately how far were they from each other?
Feet, not far at all.
Okay. And now I'm showing you slide 12. Can you tell the jury what's depicted in this slide?
So this is the northwest side of the intersection. This is going to be the right-hand side of the intersection if you have your back to Jones Road looking down the Hunting Road. Those items hanging from the branches there were cleaning wipes, and then there were more cleaning wipes also on the ground there to the right in the bottom right-hand side of the frame.
Okay. So all of those white substances, are those all cleaning wipes?
I'd have to go back and look at the photographs. Some of that was trash. You can see there that's some kind of cardboard that was on the side of the road. Again, this is a dirt road. There were lots of beer cans and Coke bottles and all kinds of stuff that had been thrown out as litter. There were 2 CRT TVs out there, not too far from where this was found. But that was one of the things we had to do, was kind of sort between what was trash and what was of potential value.
So anything that you thought might be potential value, did you include that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Your Honor, the next slide will be something that I cannot publish. So if we can. I can publish it just in compliance with your order.
Yes, ma'am.
Now showing you slide 13. Can you tell us what's depicted in this slide?
So this is placards 4, 5, 6, and 7. 2 of the placards are a little hard to see, but the closest one there is number 4. That would be one of the pieces of torn or cut gray cloth. 5 was also that. You can see 6 off there in the back, and that would be the black plastic trash bag that had the items inside of the clothing that was stained, cut, as well as some more of the cleaning wipes.
So this would have been the southeast corner still?
This was the northwest corner.
My apologies, northwest.
Just the opposite side so the left
gotcha.
side was the first side, right side was the second side.
My apologies. I'm
No
not the
worries.
best at a compass. So when that occurred, you captured each of those?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And did you preserve each of those items that is listed with a placard?
Yeah, I didn't hang a placard in a tree to show the cleaning wipe that was hanging there from the branch, but yes, ma'am, they were all marked, and the cleaning wipes are generally associated with placard number 7.
Okay. Were they collected physically afterwards?
They were.
Okay. And have you brought them here today?
I have.
Okay. I'm now turning to slide 4. 14, Council, we can turn these back on. Slide 14, what is depicted?
This was the piece of gray cloth there that was cut or torn that we used placard number 4 to mark.
Okay. And at the time, did you know what that gray cloth was?
It did not. We just noticed that it was a piece of gray cloth. It was, like I said, it appeared to have either been torn or cut, and it just looked out of place.
What did you do with these items of cloth?
So because everything was still wet, the ground was wet, the grass was wet, everything out there had been rained on, the proper procedure for something like this is to place it into a paper bag and then as soon as possible go ahead and dry it. There are some adverse biological processes that can happen if you allow evidence to remain wet. So we try to dry it, that way we don't have mold or mildew starting that can potentially affect DNA testing or obscure bloodstain patterns and things like that.
Did you do that with respect to all of the wet garments or items of cloth that were recovered?
We did.
Tell the jury how you dry them.
So in this case, when evidence was collected, it was placed in paper evidence bags and then taken back to the Region 5 field office. We have a work area there. And inside that work area, we have a dryer that is a sterile dryer. It's got filters for the air going in and filters for the air going out. That cabinet's regularly cleaned between cases, and it was in this case also cleaned prior to the items being placed inside. In addition to that, I took some clean butcher paper and lined the bottom of the cabinet and then placed all the wet items inside, separated by paper, and made sure that the items weren't touching each other, and then left them in there until they were dry. And that passes basically sterile air over the items until they're completely dry.
This isn't like a dryer from a washer dryer, or it is?
No, man, this is it's kind of like a closet with a hanging rack with airflow that moves through it, and that airflow is what dries the evidence out. And over time, there's no heat applied or anything like that. We don't want to damage the potential for any evidence that the biology section of the lab could test for, but we do want to make sure that we dry it, and that way we don't have any of those deterioration processes occurring.
And does it matter that you hang it? Why do you hang it?
Well, it's the best way for air to get hold to it, or to move over it, so to speak. If we laid it flat, then it would take longer to dry.
Okay. And those butcher papers, why are they under it?
Well, as evidence dries, we want to make sure that we give ourselves every opportunity to recover evidence if we can. Things like hairs, fibers, other things may fall off of those items as they're drying. So we line that paper at the bottom of the cabinet to catch those things, and then we'll fold that up into a bindle and preserve that paper as well after the clothes are dry.
Did you do that in this case?
We did.
And you saved those bundles?
We did.
Okay. I'm now going to slide 15. What's depicted there?
That's another piece of torn or cut gray cloth.
Okay. Did you preserve that in the same fashion?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm now going to slide 16. Do you see what's depicted there?
Yes, ma'am.
What's that?
That's a black plastic trash bag. It was kind of like a Force Flex or Glad bag. I'm not sure the exact make or model of it, but it was similar to the ones that I've seen and used in my own home. It had a gray pull string, and when in this case, this is one of the few items that I actually manipulated before it was photographed, because at the time, remember, we're having to evaluate these pieces of what could be just litter on the side of the road. In this case, I touched this bag and manipulated some of the items inside, realized it had clothing in it that was covered with reddish brown stains, and there were also more of the cleaning wipes inside the bag. So at that point, I knew it was pertinent to the case.
Okay. And that's when you documented it and stopped?
Yes, ma'am. I stopped manipulating it at that point and left it in place. I didn't move it from where it was. This is exactly where I found it. I just looked inside of it first, basically, before I photographed it.
Okay. And you indicated that was the clothing that you found inside as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you preserve the clothing?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you preserve the bag?
Yes, ma'am.
Is all that here?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm now going to slide 17. Do you see what's depicted here?
It's a cleaning wipe.
And was that in the area that, excuse me, in the area that you indicated that there were many cleaning wipes, including the ones that were hanging?
Yes, ma'am. There were a number of them in the area, including some that were draped on some of the low-hanging branches. So we just collected all of them and assigned them to placard 7.
Okay. I'm now going to slide 18. And I'm going to ask counsel to just turn this off at this point. I don't want to zoom into it. Can you tell us what's depicted there?
Yes, ma'am. This is the area farther down the road on the Hunting Club Road, and this is where the torso is located. This is where Mindy's torso was.
Okay. So when you get to this slide, can you explain to the jury how do you get into this ditch and where it is in relationship to the roadway?
So again, this part of her remains was located about 650 feet down from the intersection there with Jones Road, and it was on the north side of the right-hand side of the lane. So moving down that far, as we moved closer, the ditches varied in depth and also varied with their contents. There was standing water in some of it was just mud. In this particular area, it was mud and water that was standing there, and I had to move down into the ditch about 4 feet down or so, and then once I got in, the top of the ditch was roughly level with my head once I sunk into the mud.
Level with your head?
Yes, ma'am.
So you were about 6 feet down?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And at that point, can you describe the manner in which her body was positioned?
Yes, ma'am. We observed that the head was missing. Her legs had also been removed. We could see the femurs in her legs had been cut through and were protruding from the ends of her legs. And also her vertebra, several of the neck vertebrae were visible. They were blackened, and the skin around the neck had drawn down toward the clavicles. Her right arm shows some signs of severe injury up around the shoulder area, and just in general, she was laying on her back and was heavily splattered with mud. It was difficult to really tell the extent of her injuries at that time because she'd have so much mud clinging to her skin.
Okay. What was the nature of her clothing at that time?
She was naked. There was no clothing recovered there.
Okay. And the only clothing recovered, how far away from the torso would it have been?
Again, that was back at the intersection, which again was about 650 feet.
Okay. And at that time, when you went down into the mud, can you describe for the jury how does that incline work? Does it do straight drop off? Does it go down gradually?
It was a pretty steep drop off. I stepped over and used some of the nearby tree branches and the smaller brush to help navigate into the ditch. And then once I was down there, took some photographs and kind of documented and looked for any potential evidence that would have been immediately obvious before we decided to try to do any recovery.
And when you say recovery, do you mean taking her out?
Yes, ma'am. Taking her out of the ditch.
Okay. So how far was her body from the edge of the road?
Not that far, actually. Only about, I'd say, between 5 to 7 feet from the edge of the roadway. It depends on how you define the edge of the roadway. She wasn't far from the side.
Okay. Was there brush on the roadway leading up to where her body was?
The roadway itself was pretty clear, but the edges of the road had brush growing up. Again, this is a very well-maintained road, but it wasn't a public road, and it wasn't maintained as a public road was maintained. It was basically a logging road that was also used for hunting.
Okay. And was there anything of note that you initially saw about her body?
Again, just that she wasn't wearing any clothes, that she was lying on her back, and that her legs and her head had been removed were the main things that we observed.
Okay. Did you notice anything about the condition of the femur bones specifically?
Yes, ma'am. Once we were able to get into the ditch and look a little closer, I could tell that the bones had been cut or through with an instrument of some kind.
Okay. Is there anything of note in the manner in which they were cut to your eye?
To my eye, it appeared that they had been cut almost through and then had snapped or broken off.
Okay. And with respect to that, I'm now going to show you slide 19. What's depicted here?
That's Mindy's torso. as we discovered it.
Okay. Is that the original photograph?
Yes, ma'am.
And that's before any manipulation?
Correct. That's as she was discovered.
I'm now going to zoom into her upper right arm. Can you describe what it is that you see there?
Yes, ma'am. There's some severe injury to her arm. We weren't able to tell a lot before she was removed, and even after she was removed, it was not a 100% thing for us to determine. That's why we have a medical examiner's office, to conduct autopsies. However, it appeared that the arm had been cut and the skin had been cut away from the shoulder.
Okay. I'm now showing you slide 20. What is depicted on the left side of that screen?
That's Mindy's left arm.
Okay. Was there anything interesting or notable about her hand?
Well, on both hands, the hands were there for one thing. For someone who may have been trying to obscure, an identification of the body, for them to leave the hands on, and with availability of possible fingerprints, that was something that we had to evaluate as being immediately useful to the investigation.
Did you try to evaluate the fingerprints?
Yes, ma'am. After she was removed from the ditch, we had a representative from the Georgia State Patrol respond to the scene. They have access to a system called Rapid ID, and they can actually use fingerprint technology to access someone's driver's license remotely. They can do that from anywhere that has a cell signal.
Okay. Does it allow them to basically like roll a fingerprint on a little device?
Yes, ma'am. It's a small device, handheld. It's generally used just two of the fingers. They'll roll or press it against the screen, and it'll read and interpret that and give you an idea of who a person may be if their fingerprints are on file.
Were they?
No, ma'am. The Rapid ID system did not return a result.
Okay. I'm now going to slide 21. What's depicted there?
That's Mindy's right leg, the area where it was removed, and that's her femur that's jutting outward from the wound there.
Now, my apologies. Can you tell us what specifically was unique about that cut on that femur?
It was pretty smooth. It was appeared to us to have been cut or sawn through.
Okay. Are you a hunter?
I am.
How long have you been hunting?
Since I was a child, single digits, a while.
Have you ever processed a deer?
Yes, ma'am, I have.
Okay. Have you ever processed a deer in this fashion?
Cutting through a major bone, no, ma'am.
Why not?
Well, that's not the easiest way to remove a leg.
What is the easiest way?
Well, there's connective tissue surrounding joints, and the easiest way would be to cut that connective tissue and remove. If I was going to clean a deer, I would cut through the joint, and rather than try to saw through a bone.
And the femur, is that a big bone?
It's the largest bone in the human body.
And specifically with respect to bones, when you and I were talking about this case, you gave me an example. Can you explain that example to the jury?
Yes, ma'am. And with the preface that I know this sounds distasteful and it's hard to process, but it's like eating a chicken wing. If you're going to eat a chicken wing, and when you go to pull the bones apart, you're not going to snap the bones in half. You're going to pull them apart at the joint. It's the same thing here. Those soft connective tissues are there, and they're much easier to separate than it would be to actually cut through a bone.
Not trying to be distasteful at all. Is that why those would separate so easily if you simply cut the connective tissue as opposed to the bone itself?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. But that was not done here.
No, ma'am.
And would it be fair to say that the other leg looked similarly?
Yes, ma'am. They were almost identical in the way they've been removed.
I'm looking at slide number 22. What does that depict?
That's Mindy's right arm, and that's the damage that we observed to it after we removed it from the ditch, after we removed her from the ditch.
And what is that she is laying on?
That's a tarp. We, as a crime scene specialist and also the agents themselves, we all keep a number of clean tarps with us. This was a fresh tarp that had been used. We took it out of the plastic and partially because we used it to help get her out of the ditch, and then we used it to lay her on so we could examine her before she was turned over to the coroner.
Slide 23, what's depicted?
That's an empty Marlboro cigarette pack.
And why did you take a picture of that?
To be honest, one of the deputies, I think, had marked it early on during the initial response and thought it may have been of interest. But as we moved through the area, we determined there was lots and lots of litter laying around. But just to be on the safe side, and because we can't go back in time and do things over again, I went ahead and collected it just in case. It was a significant distance away from the torso,
How far?
approximately halfway back toward the intersection, away from the torso,
On the same side of the roadway or on the opposite?
around the middle.
Okay. So it was actually in the road?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'm showing you slide 24. What's depicted on slide 24?
This is very similar to the first sketch. It's just showing a little bit farther of a zoom out, I guess you'd say. And this is showing the location where Mindy's torso was recovered there at the top, and then the intersection at the bottom with Jones Road and the unnamed wooded lane, along with those evidence placards there, 1 through 7, that were located at the intersection.
Okay. And who drew this drawing?
I drew it.
Okay. Would that be a fair and accurate representation of what spatially those items roughly look like?
Right. This is an approximation for demonstration for demonstrative purposes. This is to show the relationship between where these things were found, with basically between each other.
Did you ultimately measure the distance of each of these items?
I did.
Okay. But for the purposes of this slide, it was merely to just give an approximation for the jury.
Right. This is for someone to, at a glance, get a good idea of where the body was recovered in relationship to the other items.
Your Honor, we actually have completed the first portion of his testimony. It appears.
We'll take a break at this time.
Okay.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll go ahead and break for lunch. Let's see. I've got 12:30. I'm going to ask that you be back here in about an hour, and we'll start at 1:45. So you've got a little over an hour. All right, court's in recess until 1:45.